Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And today we're going to read from, well, I don't know how many. I have 3 meditation books. It is so beautiful in Indianapolis today. It is almost 80 degrees outside. There's like fluffy little, you can't see it, but I'm looking at it right now. There's fluffy little white clouds in the blue sky, and the trees are kind of bending and swaying with the wind. It is so pretty today. I have my home group Zoom meeting tonight, which I'm really excited about. And then I'm planning on finishing my audiobook that I've been listening to, which is the sequel to Camino Island by John Grisham. It just came out yesterday. It's called Camino Wins, and I'm almost halfway done with it. So I am so excited. I want to finish that tonight. And I've been watching Schitt's Creek as well. I'm binge watching it. It is such an endearing TV show. Like, I started watching it because, you know, I heard my husband loves it, and I had heard from other people that it's hilarious and it's really, really funny. So I started watching it. And the reality is, it's probably one of the most endearing shows I have ever watched in my life. And there's so many, like, valuable life lessons in it, just about getting back to the core of who you are as a person and removing superficiality. And I love the show so much. And also, there's a lot about, like, love and romance in it. It's just such a feel-good show. If you start watching it, give yourself to the end of the first season, though, I will tell you that. Like, and it's quick, because they're only, like, 21 minutes on Netflix, but it's a great show. Not sponsored, I wish. Can you imagine if my video was sponsored by Schitt's Creek? All right, let's start with the Daily Book of Positive Quotations. April 28th. I cannot believe we're almost May 1st days. All right, April 28th. Who we are. It's where we go and what we do when we get there that tells us who we are. Joyce Carol Oates, one of my favorite authors of all time. We make choices every day about where we go. Sometimes big choices, like where to spend a vacation or to buy a house, but mostly small choices. Where will we get coffee today? Buy a pair of socks, load up on groceries. Even these ordinary choices say something about who we are. Do we shop at exclusive shops, at local family-owned stores, at chain discount stores, at co-ops? These choices are not right or wrong, but they do say something about our values. I will pay attention to where I conduct my daily business and where I go to relax and entertain myself. Do my choices truly reflect my values? I think it's a really valuable question to ask, you know? But I don't know that it necessarily should be limited to, do you buy organic or, you know, name brand, you know, or do you shop local or, you know, national chain? You know, I think it has a lot more to do. Well, I think those are valuable questions. I do, you know? But I think that when we talk about values and we talk about our morals and things like that, which everybody's are different, and, you know, I always reference the movie The Contender, and I love that movie so much for so many different reasons, but there is a really, really powerful quote at the end of the movie, and I'm not gonna, I've talked about it enough over here, but he says something about, like, questioning her principles, and she says, principles only mean something if you stick to them when they're inconvenient. And I think about that often, you know? I think about, are we willing to, I think one of the hardest things for us is to stick to our morals, our values, and our principles. Not when it's convenient, okay? You know, when we're fighting with somebody on Facebook that we don't really like to begin with, you know, or we're just angry, or, you know, it's somebody that we don't really like anyway. We're sitting at a dinner table with them, and it's like, let me tell you some truths of my own. I think inconvenient principles are when we're talking to our friends or our families or our loved ones and our opinions differ from theirs. Or maybe we, you know, and I think sometimes we have to be careful because we can cross the line and hurt some people's feelings without even knowing it, you know? And I think that we have to be really careful in the language that we use. But I think that that's where for me in my life, my values, my morals, and my principles have been put most to test. Not at times where it's with somebody that I don't like. Like, that's really easy. Like, let me go off and tell you a few things, right? Like, I don't really have a hard time doing that. Put me next to my best friend and have us be discussing a situation where my values differ from hers. Today, that isn't really an issue between us, but there have been times in our lives where we see things differently, you know? And I have to say, one of the things that's so amazing about that friendship is in 23 years, we have opened our ears and allowed the other person to speak. and listened to what the other person had to say. And I have to say, many times she has swayed my opinion and many times I have swayed hers. And I think it makes a much easier world, you know, when you're not trying to just convince somebody that they're wrong, but to have them listen to your side or what you believe in, or whether that's you should try something organic, or have you tried a different kind of coffee store that's local, right? Or if you're talking about deeper issues, you know, more intellectual, in-depth issues. I think right now, more than ever, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier on the phone, and she was talking about being on Facebook, and, you know, she brought up somebody specific, and not this, I was not talking to Tanya, this was another friend of mine, and she brought up somebody specific that we both knew, and she said, he just is so, like, in people's faces about political opinions and things like that at this point. And he's basically like, you're an idiot, blah, 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 if you don't like what I have to say. And we were talking about it. And it's like, the problem with that is, okay, if you want to stand behind that statement, stand behind it. But and listen, he is not the only one. I have seen many, many, many people do this, okay, from both sides of the camp. The problem is when we speak to people that way, when we speak to people with anger in our hearts, okay, or we're so enraged and passionate, are we really getting to the point where they're listening to us? I've always wondered this, okay? If our purpose is to get somebody to listen to us, because hopefully maybe they can see our side in it, and they will maybe, like, change their opinion, or they'll see a different side, or they'll be like, you know what, I never thought of it that way before. To come at somebody with anger in your heart is probably not the way. I mean, I shut down immediately. When people start coming at me, I'm like, you know, especially like when people point, like, that's big for me. Like, you know, I joke about it on my drama channel, like, don't call people people. But when people point at me or come to me with raised tones, which I have done much of my life, and I have really taken a look at over the last 2 years, because nobody wants to listen to you when you're coming at them with a raise. It's like they shut down, right? So if you want people to listen to you, you have to meet them where they're at. And where I'm at today is a place of peace, serenity, and calm. Do not come at me with raised voices, or you're probably not going to get your point across, and I'm just going to be like, I don't want to listen to what you have to say, you know? So I think it's interesting when we're talking about principles and values and, you know, allowing our voice to be heard. Well, we have to do that with our friends and our family members too. And not to fight, but to sometimes say, you know what, like, okay, I respect your opinion with that, but would you listen to mine? Because, like, I have a different point of view, you know? And then having a discussion. What happened to those days when we were 20, you know, sitting around a candlelit apartment, having a deep intellectual conversation? What happened to that, you know? Oh, we have Facebook now, and everybody's opinion is right because it's their opinion, you know? No, that's not necessarily the case. I miss the days, you know, when people could admit that maybe they don't know a lot about what they're talking about, or, you know, God forbid the days, you know, when that our parents told us back in the day, you know, when you're sitting with your friends, don't talk about religion kind of thing. You know, it's like, what happened to all of that? You know, we don't always have to be, you know, in this mindset that we have to change our friends and our family's opinions about things. I don't know. I think it's important to have strong stances on things and to have, you know, abilities to back that up. But at the same time, I don't want to do that and not be able to be heard, you know? Like, I think just because you're shouting doesn't mean somebody's listening. So anyway, very, very good meditation that led me into a completely different discussion. All right, which one should I pick from today? I'm gonna pick from this one today, because I think last year I read a lot from this one. Okay, Melody Beatty, author of The Language of Letting Go, Journey to the Heart, over 100,000 sold. I'm sure a lot more than that now. Daily Meditations on the Path to Freeing Your Soul. Okay, April 28th. I love this book so much. Every time I read it, there's always, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go to it, there's going to be just a crap meditation today. Some days there are crap meditations. This is a long one. Okay. Reward yourself. April 28th, reward yourself. Take time to reward yourself. Let it become a deliberate and practiced habit. Many of us grew up in families or with people who didn't reward us. We weren't rewarded for good behavior. We weren't rewarded or loved unconditionally, just for being, and particularly for being us. Although many of us may strive to change that behavior by rewarding the people around us, we may have neglected the importance of rewarding someone very important, ourselves. It is one thing to mentally congratulate ourselves for a job well done. It is another to take the time to actually, deliberately, and specifically reward ourselves. How many years do you have to live before it's time to treat ourselves? How many years do we have to live before it's time to treat ourselves? How much good do we have to do before it's good enough to give ourselves a gift? Maybe it's time right now, today, to begin practicing the habit of rewarding ourselves. Our souls can become tired very weary of striving to grow, to do things well, to do our best at life, love, and work if there is no reward. Our passion can wane if good is never good enough, and if the rewards and pleasures are always, always at bay, somewhere out in the distant future. If you find yourself beginning to resist working hard, doing well, striving for spiritual growth, maybe it's because you're neglecting to reward yourself for all you've already done. If you feel like the world offers no reward to you, maybe it's because you're not cooperating by rewarding yourself. Stop punishing and depriving yourself. Don't let others punish you for a job, a day, or a life well done. Instead, reward yourself. Take a break and do something specific, especially nice for you, something that would make you happy. Buy yourself something. It can be a little gift, or you can splurge. Take yourself somewhere you want to go, in your own town or in another country. Do something fun, magical, and exciting, something that makes your heart sing and your spirit soar. Reward yourself by allowing yourself to enjoy what you give yourself or what you're doing. Make rewarding yourself an attitude. Reward yourself often. When you accomplish a particular task, when you've gone through a grueling part of your healing process, reward yourself during those frustrating times just for being so patient. Sometimes reward yourself just for being you. I love this meditation. I really do. And you know, I was sitting here, when I'm reading the meditations, I'm often thinking to myself like how I would apply it to myself. And I was thinking to myself, you know, so many times, especially when I was working like, you know, in a corporate situation, I would look to my supervisor for the pats on the back, you know, for the congratulations, job well done, things like that. And often I got that. I really did. I had a fantastic supervisor, you know, for the majority of time. And I feel very, very blessed for that she was somebody that always congratulated us, you know, on like jobs well done and things like that. But there were often times that I felt like I didn't get what I needed. And I think today, I don't know why I need that validation or acceptance from people even more so in my life today. Like, hey, like, you know, I'm really happy that you did this, or, you know, great job on that, or I'm really impressed or whatever. But, you know, it feels good to have that from other people. I think the thing is that the key to working through that, right, is not needing acceptance and validation from others, but needing it from ourselves and rewarding ourselves. And that's why at the end of my vlog every day, you know, I talked about it yesterday, but I'm talking about it on here today too. I talk about daily positive affirmations and saying, you know, I love you, you are valuable, you are important, you matter, you do good things, right? Like we need to say that to ourselves every single day. We need to believe that about ourselves. And if we don't believe that we can say that, what do we need to change in our lives to be able to say that? You know, what can we do that where we can congratulate ourselves for the things that we do? I know, you know, often if I make a list of things I want to get done in a day, I don't beat myself up anymore for not finishing everything on the list. I congratulate myself if I get 2 or 3 things done, you know what I mean? And I talk a lot about self-care over here, and I think self-care is really, really important when we talk about rewarding ourselves. You know, sitting and putting, you know, taking a shower and putting on your pajamas or nightgown and, you know, and sweats or whatever, you know, and doing a couple face masks and lighting some candles and listening to some, you know, soft music or whatever, you know, you like to listen to. And then, you know, maybe you like watching a TV show, and just taking like an hour or 2 for yourself is really, really important. And it's a way to reward yourself. And I know this is really corny, but like my mom back in the day when I was growing up, she loved Oprah, and I loved Oprah too. But like, I can remember when she would like pick me up from school, and she would go through McDonald's. Was this before Oprah too? This probably was like right around when Oprah started. So she would like pick me up from school, and then she would go through McDonald's and she would get herself one of those little sundaes. It's like, you know, back then it was like 50 cents or something. You guys know what I'm talking about, like little sundaes in the plastic cup, you know? She loved those, and she would get them like 5 days a week. And that was like, my mother was such a penny pincher, so it's funny looking back that she would spend that. You know, she got coupons for it at times and stuff, but you know, she would always treat herself to that little sundae while she was watching Oprah or whatever, you know, Phil Donahue or whatever was on back then. She loved to sit there and just like eat this little sundae. And I think back of the way that my mom, like, really, as somebody that was such a, you know, a penny pincher clearance shopper, she was somebody that really treated herself in little small ways. You know, she would go to the grocery store, and if a gallon of ice cream was on sale, by God, she was buying that gallon of ice cream, you know, even if it was a flavor she didn't love, you know, for 75 cents. And then she would punish herself by eating the entire gallon of ice cream. I can remember I would call her, and she would watch the nightly movie. This is before my mom had cable. She didn't have cable forever. And she would watch the movie that was from like 9 to 11. And then she would watch the evening news or the late news from 11:30. And then she would watch, Johnny Carson and those shows, whatever. And I can remember like later in life, I would call her and I would call her like at 10:45 or something. And she'd say, can I call you back in just a couple minutes? Cause like this is going to be over. Then I want to watch the news. And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And so she would call me back. And the first thing she would say after she watched the news, because she was always watching her movie. Hello. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Oh my God. But she would say, another angel got its wings. She would say, oh my God, my stomach hurts so bad I ate an entire gallon of ice cream. I'd be like, mother. But no, there's so many ways that we can reward ourselves just by like reading a book or even just like taking a nap or whatever. And especially today while we're like, these days while we're at home, there are ways that you can treat yourself around the house. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to take some trip to Fiji or, you know what I mean? Like there's small ways for us to treat ourselves around the house. So I don't know, maybe make a list of 10 or 20 things. What are 10 or 20 ways that I can treat myself while I'm at home, over the next few weeks? Every day, do a face mask, do a foot mask, whatever, foot scrub, all kinds of things. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about those meditations. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.